What's going on, hockey fans? Dan K here live with our Meet the Captain segment of Tufts Week. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing tougher than playing against this Tufts team right now. Hard-nosed hockey, physical team, can play a 200-foot game, and this man is leading the way for his Tufts side. But before introducing Tyler Sedlak, your captain of Tufts, I got to introduce in Coach Patrick Norton. Pat, can you tell us a little bit about this young man we're going to talk to today, the makeup of your captain, how he kind of gets that leadership role, and talk to us a little bit about him?
Yeah, I think Tyler would be the first one to tell you too. When he came in, I think his freshman year and sophomore year, I think he really wanted to. He was always great offensively. He's always had tremendous speed. He could shoot the puck. He's a playmaker. But I think he would be the first to tell you that he certainly enjoyed going on offense, maybe a little bit more than he wanted to go on defense. And as he's grown throughout his career, what I think has been most impressive about him is number one, he's been very, very coachable. And number two, he's done a great job of sort of recognizing the areas in his game that he needs to get better at and that he needed to improve at. And particularly in the second half of his sophomore year, last year, and senior year, so far, he's really developed a 200-foot game, and he practices the same way he plays, which I think is a lesson for anybody out there. Kids that want to know how to be successful hockey players at any level. The real key is practicing how you play, and Tyler practices as hard every day as he does when he gets to the games, and that's the same thing. He'll back check, he'll strip pucks, he'll work hard defensively, and yet he's still able to produce offensively. So he's been a great leader, and I think that's a big part of it. He also, as a kid, he stays very level and is able to look at the big picture and really works well with his teammates in terms of helping them through the season and the process and navigating the ups and downs of a year.
That's an answer right there. And Lucas, we introduce you in my left-hand man, my consigliere Monfer for another mayor. This is a young man who we've watched play hockey a little bit before he got to the college ranks at Tufts. He had some success before then as well. Tyler, let's ask you, I guess, here, how did you make the decision to Tufts in the first place, right? You're down the road now, so it's easier to look back and say, hey, made the right decision, I'm in the right place. But how'd you make the decision in the first place to go play with this organization, this school?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having Coach and I. This is very cool, and it's a good thing for you guys to do for college teams now, and not just at the junior level. So we appreciate it. Um, I would say there were a couple selling points for me. One being education. It's evident that Tufts is one of the top academic schools in the country. And it is extremely prestigious, both in the academic and athletic front, being in the NESCAC. Two, I would say being so close to Boston, a major city, is something that is relatively important to me growing up outside of New York City. It's kind of just there's a livelihood around these major cities, whether you're at a school or just in the suburbs or even closer to the city, that is a part of life that I just enjoy. And then two or three, sorry, would be just the hockey front. It hasn't been historically easy for coach to recruit some guys per se to Tufts,
Yeah.
especially over the last, let's call it 8 years now. And to be honest with you, I wanted to be the guy or one of the guys that sort of changed this program and made it trend upwards. And I think that over the past 3 years, not just myself, but my class and even the class that just graduated last year has definitely put this program in a direction that we weren't necessarily in 4 years ago. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters to us, is that we're making this place better than we found it. And it's going to be even better 3, 4 years down the road when we're not directly a part of it, but we can give back to it. So
Now let's talk about where you've left it right now. What's this locker room makeup like? How would you describe this Tufts roster this year? What is this team's MO, and how are you guys going out there and competing every day?
Yeah, we're young. We have 10 freshmen. And we have, I believe it is 6 sophomores now with the addition of our transfer that we just got. So right there, that's half the team that is underclassmen, and then obviously the other half would fill the upperclassmen sort of title. I'd say the one thing that makes our team good and where we will find success in this second half is our team is so close to each other. We honestly spend almost all day, every day together, whether it's just workouts at the rink and like we go out of our way to make sure that we're eating meals together, or on a Sunday when we have no priorities, everybody's coming over to our house or our junior's house and we're watching football together. I think that when you're playing juniors, this your team is so naturally close because you're essentially on a schedule that is so around hockey. And when you get to the college level, there's also like another part of your life that is the academic side. So you kind of lose time throughout the day, throughout the week to be with your teammates. So I think just the culture that we've built and guys years prior have built with it's not really something that is even discussed anymore. It's kind of just expected that we're always together, we're always hanging out together, we're best friends. Like when the season's over, we're all going away together, we're having fun together. We're going to Thanksgiving together when we have that day off. So it's cool. We do love each other, and we we do have a really tight knit group, so it's cool.
I'll tell you, you look at the schedule, right? You guys play on December 7th, and then the next matchup's January 3rd. You don't get many long breaks when you're coming up through the ranks in junior, right? You might get a
Right.
week off somewhere. You might get 10 days off. How do you combat the feeling of, all right, let's get through finals, let's figure it out, let's kind of take a deep breath and still sticking to it, making sure you hit the ice in Wesley Chapel on January 3rd and you take it to Milwaukee School of Engineering?
Yeah, good question. I would say first off, it's the first when we get to school, we start in September, right? We start workouts, we start skating 3 times a week for 8 weeks, and that's sort of our captain's practice format. And then mid-October, right after Parents Weekend, is when coaches step on the ice. So up to that point, we haven't had a break, right? And then we start October full on 5 days a week or 6 days a week for 3 weeks until the season starts. And then we just played 9 games, right? So we really haven't had a break. We had Thanksgiving off for that Wednesday and Thursday, which is pretty quick. And honestly, it's not really a break that hockey players need. We need like a week or two to kind of just step back, get away from everything, and just kind of realize like we are already a third of the year in. We haven't even had a second to breathe, and that's the thing. Like you kind of now we just played our last game of the year on the 7th, right, against Bowdoin, and now we have 3 weeks until, or yeah, 3 weeks, just shy of 3 weeks until we're back on campus on the 27th, and about a week and a half of that will like strictly go towards studying for finals and kind of getting that done with for the semester, and then you have another week and a half to sort of just reset, get back in shape. For me, honestly, I'll probably stay off the ice. I Once you get older, you kind of realize that the more important stuff is kind of off, like staying off the ice, making sure your body's all right. So
It gets worse
that's what
now.
I'll be doing. Yeah. So that's kind of my focus. And then when we get back on the 27th, we have 4 days of practice, and then we're on the plane going down to Tampa, and it seems like it's a vacation when you look at it on the calendar. It's like, oh, we're playing in Tampa, we're playing in Florida. We've never done this before. But at the end of the day, we're playing one really good team on that Friday night in MSOE. And then whoever you draw on Saturday is also good. And at the end of the day, like these games matter. Coach will say the same thing. It's like once you get out of the NESCAC, all these teams that you play are very different and you don't really know their style or makeup that they have. But the games matter down the line when you're trying to get into that top 16 or whatever. So that's kind of how we'll go about it.
The audacity of a 2000 born hockey player to talk about the pains of getting older, Dan. Just
it hurt me, honestly.
that comment hurt me. I will now have to take a few days off as well. But let's talk about the wisdom gained by age a little bit here, because fans of the show know that I started my career as a high school teacher, very big on the student part of student athlete. You kind of answered what the splits are like during the season, but I kind of want to know, what would you go back and tell, we'll call it the student half of yourself? Anything, or even a message for future student athletes that are coming into this program. Is there a piece of advice or something that you'd want to tell them to make their experience a little bit better right off the jump?
Sure. I would say the biggest thing that took me a little while to learn, and then I eventually found success in, is one, you mentioned the junior level, like the time off from juniors and then getting back to school, you sort of lose that time management aspect per se, because your day is so simple from going to practice, going to work out, and then kind of doing whatever you want, right? Like go to lunch, hang out with the guys, whatever. And then you get to college and it's like, okay, I have class from 8:30 to 12, and then I have a lift, and then I have class again, and then I have an hour, and then I go to practice, and then I got to do homework. So it's like the time management is massive. And honestly, like the easiest part or the best part about our schedule is we have specific workout times throughout the week. We have specific, like obviously set practice times that we build our schedule around, which for us actually leaves time for us to study and do homework or whatever we have to do. But to directly answer your question, I would say time management is definitely the biggest thing. And I don't know, everybody does it differently, but for me, I definitely set out time where I sit back, I figure out what do I got to do. That's not hockey here. Because at the end of the day, it is very important. It might not seem so important on Friday when you're worried about the game that night, but if you got something to do next week, it's kind of catching up on you. Like you got to figure it out, and you got to make the time for it. Otherwise, coach will not be too happy.
Well, it's such an interesting thing to show up on a Saturday night, score a game-winning goal, and then wake up Sunday and go, man, I got an essay due Monday that I got to write.
Yeah.
I got to switch gears like on a dime. It's
interesting. Yeah, your NFL team better win that day.
Yeah.
Or you better hope they play at 1 so you can get some work done.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this event a little bit here. You've already kind of mentioned getting ready for the hockey side of it. I want to ask you about kind of the vibe surrounding it, right? The players know that they're going down to Advent Health, facility that's hosted some fairly prestigious hockey events, and you're going to Tampa, which is a nice place to be in the middle of January. What is the anticipation level in the locker room, or are guys just kind of focused on finals and then they'll get into that mode a little bit later?
Yeah, guys are definitely focused on finals. So we haven't really gone over it too much yet. But we know what's coming up. It's honestly, it's always weird this time of year when you do have 4 weeks until you play a game. It kind of feels like it's that weird preseason time where it's okay, we still have like a month here before we play a game. But like I said earlier, we're going down to Tampa. This group has not actually done a flying trip yet, so everyone's excited about that. And then obviously going down to Florida itself and it being whatever it'll be 70 degrees is nice to get away from the cold for a few days and kind of change the scenery, new setting, new team. So everyone's excited on that front. And then I would say more specifically, like we had MSOE on our calendar before we even got to school. Like we knew we were doing this tournament. We knew we were likely going to draw them, and then Albertus and Suffolk will play each other in the other afternoon game. And we will figure it out more so when we get a little bit closer and finals kind of wind down. But listen, they play in a good conference. They're likely a heavy team, big team. They're from Midwest. That's typically the makeup of those teams. I think we'll find success, and we'll figure this out more closely as we get closer. Is we're extremely fast. We are probably one of the fastest teams in the NESCAC. And we play in a conference that is pretty much made up of 1-goal games. If you look at it, like 2 years ago, I think we played 15 or 16 1-goal games. And this year we've already played a handful and we're only a third in. And you have teams in the top 10. You have a team that finished in national championship runner-up. You have teams that kind of fill these spots of the national rankings all throughout the NESCAC that are just playing 1-goal games. So it doesn't matter to us who we play at all. We know that we're ready for a tight game. We're ready for a shootout if we get in one. So we're ready for the actual game itself. And then as we get closer, we'll do more of our specific pre-scouting on them on Friday, and then take care of business that day, and then hopefully go win a tournament on Saturday.
Now, talk about winning this tournament. Does the middle of the season, right? You guys are in the NESCAC. This is one of the most prestigious conferences in all of hockey, right? And it's the Little Ivies, Lucas. If you don't know this, is what we would call the NESCAC up in the New England region. It's great education, great academics, and great athletics. And you're playing such a great conference. You're playing every year we play college sports, whether it's attainable or not. We're thinking about titles. We're thinking about championships. How much does this midseason tournament mean to you guys to try to get a trophy, try to win this thing?
Yeah, it means a lot. No matter where you go or what tournament it is, just the chance to, like, even if there's a trophy or not, like win a trophy, win a tournament in the middle of the year, especially in college, is special because that means you won 2 games in a row and you kind of took care of that expectation that was there leading up to that. We just went to SUNY Canton for Thanksgiving, and we won that tournament. Last year, we won I believe it was a Christmas, it was a New Year's tournament at Warrior. Forgive me for forgetting the name of it, but we played Wentworth and we played Nichols, and then so we just played Canton, we just played Riviere, and it's the same thing. Like, no matter what tournament it is, like, we're going down to Florida, it's a tournament. Like, you win 2 games, you win the tournament, right? So it's like, for us, we just dropped 2 games this past weekend that we should have won. So we kind of got to get back on track here. And it's important for us too, because you win these 2 games, you kind of get some momentum going back into league play. And at the end of this Tampa tournament, it's just league games for us. So this is kind of our last little break before we kind of enter like grind time, where we go whatever it is, 16, or I think it'll be 16 games straight of league game play. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you guys got Max Resnick there leading the team in points at Tampa, Florida, kid. I got to imagine he's talking about this in the locker room a lot, eh?
Yeah, he's excited. He's excited. We actually have 2 guys from Florida. We have another senior, Spencer Rose, too. They're both from the greater Tampa area per se. But yeah, Max is excited. Max is my line mate. So I've been fortunate enough to play with him the past 2 years, and we've found success together. But we were actually texting about it the other day. We're like, you think coach will let us play golf? Because our dads already made plans together to go play golf on New Year's Day, the day we fly down. So I'm not sure we'll be included in that, but yeah, it's exciting for him to go play in front of his family, his friends, and we know he'll pick up right where he left off going into break. That's just the kind of player he is, and he's motivated. So excited to see how he plays in front of his own home crowd.
If you guys do get a golf day, I've got every recommendation you guys need. You let me know. I'll get you a list.
Awesome.
I can give you all the places to tour the area. You can
Nice.
get across the street here from the Valspar Championship, Innisbrook. Coach is looking right now. He can plan it and get everyone on copyright. I think it's only $500.
I was going to say, Tyler's chances of playing golf, Tyler and Rez's chances of playing golf are a lot better if I'm on the tee sheet.
That's exactly right. You got to, Tyler, you just got to know this is about business down the road.
Yeah, Coach is actually a pretty good golfer. So,
Coach is a stick. There we go.
He's a stick. Yeah, I think he's like.
I'm all right, Dan. You know, I'm all right.
And the sandbagging begins.
Every
Yeah.
hockey guy,
No sandbagging.
every time I golf with a hockey guy, hockey coach anywhere, it's, I don't really play that much. I played with Steve Alexi. Guy hits the ball 320 off the tee. I'm sitting at 100 yards behind him on the fairway,
Yeah.
going like, oh, it must be nice up there.
Yeah, no, Dan, I play too much.
Hey,
I'm not going to sandbag you.
absolutely love it. Well, hey, Tyler, I guess last question for you before we get on the coach and we start talking with him a bit here. For that athlete, for that student athlete out there that's got a big decision to make this year, right? You've been in an age out year before. You've been in that position where you're trying to figure out, where do I go next? Why should they choose Tufts? Can you kind of tell me that side of it from a captain's perspective, from a guy who's lived it now, who's played it, who's had success on and off the ice at this university? Why Tufts?
Yeah. I mean, you just said it yourself too. Like NESCAC is the best conference for the combination that you're looking for: athletics, academics, and then just a diverse social scene. I'd say for Tufts specifically, academically, we are one of the top, not just in the NESCAC, obviously in the country, and that should be important for anyone trying to continue and play college hockey. Secondly, I'd say our sort of area around us is not very comparable to most NESCACs. We have the city 8 minutes away from my house, which is in the middle of campus. And to sort of get away from campus, get away, whatever you're outside of the city. You don't necessarily want to go to the city. You kind of just have the campus there. You're in a nice neighborhood / area that some of these other NESCAC schools don't necessarily have, just being sort of more remote. And then I'd say most importantly, the hockey aspect. We're building something pretty special here. We've shown improvement the last 3 years. Last year, we lost in the NESCAC championship, and that was kind of a kick in the ass to us. So we're not going to stop. We're obviously looking for that to happen this year. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to work towards it. And if you want to be a part of this special sort of push that we're making and this growth that we're having as a school, as a team, I would definitely come visit Tufts for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a good one in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Your captain, Tyler Sedlak, will be on the ice. The guy's got 10 points coming into this one. Look out for a couple more against MSOE on January 3rd. Stay tuned. Before each of those games, you'll have your college game day, your Dan K show on site. Dan K going to be am I going to be throwing peanuts in the air because I picked the jumbos here to take down the School of Engineering? Or will I be building a small plane to then prop up into the air and fly over Lucas's house in New York with New Jersey with all the other drones right now up there? We will see. Be there or watch on Flow Hockey. It's going to be an incredible one. The Tampa College Hockey Invitational is coming to you January 3rd and 4th. Tyler, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.